Renovating Retirement with Charlie Jewett. Oh no, I think I'm about to have another episode.
You are a disgracer.
Hey guys, Charlie Jewett here with the Renovating Retirement Podcast, coming to you again with another sporadic episode that gets recorded who knows when I can, in between all kinds of crazy things that are going on in my life. This episode's called episode 110, Americans Work Far Too Long. I'm talking about the fact that people don't retire when they should. People end up working longer than they want to because of some of the lies and the scams in the industry telling you need more money than you have to retire, or not showing you what guaranteed income, how high income can be if you stop being addicted to the stock market. Maybe just perception. You're just worried that your spouse is going to call you lazy, or your neighbors might call you lazy. But there's a giant, this is life or death we're talking about here, and also the enjoyment of your retirement comes from the fact that you retire soon enough to be healthy and enjoy your golden years. There's a large amount of data that suggests that the biggest source of stress in anybody's life is the workplace. Working is a stressful situation. It's a stressful, environment. There's a tremendous amount of, studies and literature that suggest that diabetes, cardiovascular disease, metabolic syndrome, and many health-relevant individual behaviors such as overeating, under-exercising, so not going to work out, and then the abuse of drugs and alcohol, that those things come from stress in somebody's life. According to the Center for Disease and Control Prevention, the CDC, cardiovascular disease, musculoskeletal disorders, psychological disorders, suicide, cancers, ulcers, and impaired immune function, basically just your immune system not working well, are the top health-associated, issues associated with feeling overworked. Stress and overwork are not good for us. Yes, we were designed to work, marching through the woods, hunting for food, farming, loving each other, building houses, but not the type of work that Americans do, many of us. There's actually a term in Japan for people that work themselves to death. I think it's called karoshi. It literally means overworked or overworked death. Sudden mortality. I just read about somebody who was 31 and dropped dead, and she even had 2 days off that month, but the days that she was working so much. The major medical causes for karoshi is heart attack, stroke, due to stress, and a starvation diet. Believe it or not, as much as we love food, and Japan has some incredible food, people aren't eating because they're working so much. This is an issue. I don't want anybody who's listening to me to be working 1 day or 1 year longer than you want to or need to. So you need to have some things clear in your life to know when you're able to stop and when you, quote, should stop. So let's dive into this. There's 4 phases in the retirement planning model. Almost everybody agrees with this. There's contribution, when you're putting money in. There's accumulation, as you're accumulating or building up your nest egg. Again, what's that nest egg designed to do? What's the entire purpose from day one of not spending all the money in your life, but putting some of it aside, or retirement savings? That was never supposed to be invested technically, but you're saving for retirement, accumulating. Why are you accumulating? Because one day you're going to go into 30, 40 years of unemployment called retirement. It's always been about income replacement. That's why I get so bad at the joker brokers and I beat up on them, because they say that stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, risk with a side of fees, are the answer to everything, when they were unnecessary in the first place, because you're saving for retirement, not investing for it. And they're unnecessary in the second place because they don't do income well, and they don't do any of the other things you need well in retirement. Stocks, bonds, and mutual funds are an unnecessary tool in anyone's life. I don't have any of them. I'm 46. And I certainly do not suggest that my retirees put very much money into stocks, bonds, and mutual funds unless it's just for play, unless you understand how to day trade, or you want a small account that's just fun for you. Every dollar you put there takes away what retirees need: income, long-term care, death benefit, replacement income for spouse, long life, short life, rough life, sick life, and the next life. So you have contribution and accumulation, which can be happening at the same time. Your money can be growing while you're still working and putting money in. And then the retirement piece of it is called distribution. And you could not get more different in distribution than accumulation. That should probably never be the same advisor if you were using a stockbroker or a money manager to grow your money, and then it's time to live off of it. You should probably fire that person and move on to somebody who's right for the job, the way you leave a pediatrician and move on to a family practitioner or a primary care physician. You need to move from somebody who's growth focused to somebody who's income focused. Now, if you're doing your retirement planning with a company like Renovating Retirement, where we're already doing your growth based on income, that's fine. You don't have to switch professionals. But if you did your growth the traditional way, stocks, bonds, and mutual funds are the answer to everything. So all you have is IRAs, 401ks, and retirement accounts that are just in diversified portfolios. Then you will need to switch to somebody who actually has the education and the integrity to teach you about income planning when you move into the distribution phase. So contribution, accumulation, distribution, and then finally transfer, the whole estate planning piece or transferring it to loved ones. So how long is long enough? How long should you be working? When should you stop working? Well, there's no rules necessarily. Pilots sometimes get forced out based on age. I think at the recording of this, if you're a pilot, you have to stop by age 65, whether you're as healthy as Jack LaLanne or what. I think you have to stop at 65. But for regular folks, if you're not going to be forced out of your job, here's some things to think about. How long is too long? Well, doing something you hate, you don't want to do that very long. If you hate your job, by definition, that's going to be creating stress. You're coming home stressed, so it's taxing and challenging your relationships at home, too, with your kids, even if they're grown-ups, and also with your spouse and friends. So if you're doing something you hate, you really should be trying to stop that or retire as soon as possible for your own health and for your own enjoyment of this only life that you get. Maybe there's an afterlife. I'm talking about this one for now, okay? What about doing something that hurts your body, that hurts you physically? Yes, I understand that stress also hurts you physically and affects you in your blood and your heart and, whatever, blood vessels and all that. I'm not a doctor. But yes, it hurts your body. But there are some people, their jobs themselves are actually hurting their bones and their muscles. I had somebody, I'm going to call him Mr. X. I had somebody come through who worked for the local gas and electric company, and he was 57 at the time. He said, "Charlie, I've been turning wrenches for the gas and electric company for over 30 years, and my arms are giving out on me. My wrists, my elbows, I've damaged my arms." As I continued the interview, getting to know his situation, I also found out that his mother, they didn't know how long she was going to live. She was starting to fade away. Most people don't drop dead anymore. They fade away, which is why medical expenses and long-term care and all that type of planning are so important. If everybody dropped dead, we wouldn't need long-term care planning, but people fade away, things start to break, and they get sick. And he didn't know how long she was going to live, and he said to me, "I'm only 57, don't I have to work until I'm 59 and a half to avoid penalties on my retirement accounts?" And I thought very carefully and said, "You know what, Mr. X? You're right. If it's all about the money, you would need to wait another 2.5 years, depending on how far into your 57th year you are. You need to wait another 2.5 years before you can quit and avoid that nasty 10% penalty." But life's not all about money. Can you imagine spending your entire retirement years without the use of your arms, or with very limited painful use of your arms? How would you feel, Mr. X, if when you're 58, your mother passes away, and because you were going to work every day, you didn't get to spend those last days with her, recapping the beautiful life that you've had together, gathering photos, maybe capturing video of her, taping her and asking her about her experience in life, and capturing all that intellectual property and all that wisdom that's inside of her that would die with her if you didn't capture it and give it a life of its own? What if you missed that opportunity because you said, "I can't quit work because it'll cost me some money if I take money out of my retirement accounts"? People, my beliefs, my opinion, I love to talk about truths, but this is my opinion. My opinion is that your physical body is worth more than money. My opinion is that the relationships and the time we have with loved ones while we have them here on the earth is much more important than making money. So guess what I told him? I said, "You know what? We're only talking about 2.5 years. I think you should retire right now. We'll build a retirement plan that has all the income you need. We're going to guarantee the income anyway through an insurance company, so it'll be based on the strength of the insurance company," which, if anybody doesn't understand the strength of insurance companies, just go check. We haven't had a single one of them ever go away and not pay their annuity payments, so we're good to go. Safest thing on the planet. Banks and brokerage firms don't even come close to the safety of insurance companies. You can study it or ask me to send you an article. That's fine. I said, we're going to give you the income you need, and yeah, for the first couple of years it's going to be taxable, but you don't have to go to work anymore. You're not going to hurt your arms, and you can spend time with your mom. We actually went so far as to look at a part-time job and say, how much is this 10% penalty from the IRS going to actually cost you? And he could have worked like 15 hours a week at $5 an hour. I think the minimum wage right now is like 10 or 11. So he could have worked 6-7 hours doing something he likes and covered the entire penalty. And I'm telling you folks, he did it. He retired, turned on his income, and well before he was 59 and a half, his mom passed away. I've actually spent some time with this gentleman, recording him in my office, turning on a video recorder, and having him talk about his youth and about the amazing things his mom taught him and what it was like growing up, and capture the wisdom that his mom gave him so that he can leave that on DVD or some sort of a cloud recording to his loved ones when he passes away, so that they can gain wisdom from their grandma who passed away. He didn't hurt his arms. He did the right thing because his job was hurting him physically. That's one reason you may want to quit as soon as possible. Don't hurt your body or miss important family members' lives because you think you have to work to 59 and a half or 62 or 65 or 67 or 70 and a half or any age. Okay? Emotionally is another reason. If you hate your boss, sometimes there's a change in the management. You don't like them anymore, or there's a change in the people that you work with, or if in any way your job is causing stress on you or stress on your family, maybe you've always been someone who travels, or they've just ramped up how much you need to travel, or they're requiring you to work 60 hours a week, or they'll fire you and hire somebody younger. Whatever it is, and whether it's legal or not, if your job is stressing you out and hurting you, you may want to quit that job as soon as you possibly can. Now, one other possibility. You might work too long and miss your window of health. What do I mean by the window of health? If we look at research, it seems that there's about 10 really healthy years after you retire where you want to do all of your traveling, all of your partying, all of your, going back and forth to other countries and seeing the grandkids and just all the things that you need a healthy body and healthy mind to accomplish. It seems that there's 10, 15 years right after you retire. I mean, if you retire really late, like 75, you might not get that. But if you retire in your early 60s or mid 60s, you seem to have 10 to 15 healthy years. I have family members in my life. I have family members where the woman, and they were older, they were kind of grandparent, great-grandparent, fell off a bike and hit her head. They were bike riding. That's a healthy thing to do. Bike riding, she fell off her bike, hit her head. Immediately began to get Alzheimer's or dementia. The doctors refused to say that there was any relationship between hitting her head and having memory problems and getting dementia and Alzheimer's. We tended to disagree with them. But the short story is, as is the case with many people whose spouse gets sick first and has, Alzheimer's or dementia, her husband just had so much stress in taking care of her that he passed away first. And then she was left alone, stayed in a home, and eventually she passed away. What you don't know is that both of them worked in the real estate industry up until the day that she got sick, and they kept trying to work and kept trying to support themselves. They never had a retirement. And then when they did, stop working or whatever, it was just to basically sit in a nursing home and take care of each other or be taken care of themselves. They completely missed their retirement window. They missed the window of health. That is not the goal for the golden years. Another family member who was the daughter of this woman, she and her husband immediately retired when they saw this. They retired, I believe, in their late 50s and said it's not worth it. It is not worth it to miss. And they've traveled and learned languages and done beautiful things with their golden years. You don't need to work till you're 65, 70, 75. You don't have to even work till you're 59 and a half. It's all a matter of, have you saved enough money and can you provide the income that you need, okay? So why do people do this? Why do we work longer than we need to? You'd think that people would want to take a big, take lots of vacations a year or retire and be with their friends and be with their grandkids. Well, why do we do this? One of the biggest issues is using the wrong retirement accounts. If you've listened to these other shows, America is addicted to the stock market, and it's not just you. It's not just the consumer who's addicted to the stock market. You guys like the ups and downs. Maybe not my listeners, but pretend the entire country is listening to me right now. People like the ups and downs, the fear and the greed, and the monthly statements where everything changes every time, and it kind of plays with your emotions. It's not just you guys. Much more epidemic and problematic is that the stockbrokers and the money managers and the financial advisors like to put you into variable investments because it has the greatest paycheck in the freaking universe. The best way you could ever get paid as an advisor, they call it mailbox money, is to get assets under management, to get people to give you a whole bunch of money that you go risk for them. You're being paid to gamble. And you can charge 0.5%, 1%, 1.25%, 2%, whatever you're charging. You get paid no matter what, whether you're playing golf or sitting in the office. And by the way, most of them do not manage your money. They go out and find more clients because it's, if they manage your money and grow it by 20%, they get a 20% raise. If they go get another client this week that has the same amount of money as you, they get a 100% raise. Okay, do that 50 times a year. You got a big stinking raise at the end of the year. You can grow your income tremendously fast by marketing for other clients. You can't grow it very fast by doing a good job by growing your own clients' money. So it's really not a money growth industry. It's a marketing industry or an advertising industry where they just ignore your money and they go find more clients. That's why they're always on the golf course. Long rant, sorry about that. But using the wrong retirement accounts, there's no possible way for you to ever know if you have enough money when you're using stocks, bonds, and mutual funds or something that goes up and down, because you never know when the next down is coming. We're totally due for a correction when I'm recording this. We're 147, 148 months, something like that, into a bull market when the average is about 49 before the market goes down 27%. We haven't had that drop. We're still waiting for it. That's one reason you don't know. Another reason you don't know is there's no way to know how much income you can actually take from a portfolio. If you don't know how much income you can take, how can you know how much is enough to have? Okay, is $1 million enough? I don't know. How much income does $1 million give you? One person says 50,000. One person says 40,000. One person says 28,000 a year. None of them are right. They're all just looking backwards over different time frames, saying whether you would have run out of money or not during that time frame in history. History doesn't matter. When you retire, until you die is what matters. And does anybody know what the market's going to do while the baby boomers are retiring and taking their money out of the market? Does anybody know what the market's going to do over the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years? No. You can't ever know if you're going to be okay if you use the wrong income tools. And 100%, no one can argue this, and no one even tries. That's why the Coward Challenge is so important. I'll challenge any advisor in the entire country to a very, very public debate on retirement planning. You can bring the last 5 quote retirement plans you've built. Give me 2 to 5 minutes with them, and I will embarrass you. If I don't, and you beat me or teach me something, I'm going to put you on the show and adopt what you teach me, because it doesn't matter who's right or wrong. The only thing that matters is that retirees are being taken care of. But you can't plan on anything with stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. You never know anything about what they're going to do in the future, so you can't build a plan based on variable investments. So using those things versus income tools, rental properties, annuities, things like that, a spend down plan, if you really wanted to do that, that's not a great idea, but you could do a spend down plan. That's the biggest issue. Another one, using the wrong payout percentage. ING, which changed their name to Voya, used to have this cool campaign called What's Your Number? On the TV commercials, people be walking around with a big orange number that said, $2,478,812 is what I need. What they were pushing was a calculator online that said, here's how much you need to accumulate before you can retire. Well, their numbers were grossly inflated, like disgustingly high. I used to love that calculator because we could show people what they need if they use stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, and then move over and say if you put 1/3 of it into an annuity, you could retire today. And it was super helpful for people. Voya's gone back and changed that calendar and made some assumptions. Like when I looked at it the other day, they were assuming you made 6% real rate of return every single year for the rest of your life after you retire, which is like virtually impossible unless you're using annuities, and that's not what they're using. So I don't understand it, but now the calculator makes it look like you don't need very much money. Well, the issue is, what should you use? A 4% payout percentage, 2.8, like is suggested today. You can't know, as I've already talked about. Again, demographics. The baby boomers, the largest group of people that's ever lived at one time, while they were working, they drove the market up. Okay? They're retiring at $10,000 a day, and they're not working. Well, you take your foot off the gas in a car, and what happens? It stops. So we really shouldn't be seeing growth in the stock market if the biggest group of people stops buying things. They're not contributing anymore. Well, they're not just not buying things. They're not just taking their foot off the gas. They're turning the car around and pressing the gas and driving the other direction. They're taking money out of the accounts where they already bought stocks. Guess what that's called? That's called selling. They're not buying because they're not contributing to 401ks and IRAs. That's what stopping working means. And they're selling because they're taking income out, which means they're selling off their investments. Folks, that's a complete turnaround of what grew the market over the last 30, 40 years from the 70s when this group of people was going to work, having money sucked out of their paychecks. Why would anyone in their right mind, think that the stock market is going to behave in the next 30, 40 years like it did for the last 30, 40 years? You don't go to the 70s and look at weather reports before you go to the beach, and you don't go to the 80s to look at traffic reports before you drive wherever you're going to go today. So why are we looking backwards to see what the market might do in the next 20, 30, 40 years? That's stupid. That's malpractice. No one should be doing that for you. Someone should just be saying the honest, simple question of integrity. Would you like your income to come in like clockwork, or do you want it to be a mystery? Do you want maybe income or for sure income? Would you like your income to be able to stop in 10, 20 years, even though it probably needs to double based on inflation? Do you think anyone in their right mind is actually going to answer the question, yes, I would like my income to stop, or yes, I'd like to risk everything on the stock market behaving like it did in the 70s and 80s, even though everything's changed? No, it's only the lying criminal stockbrokers who say, no, don't use annuities, don't use income tools, don't buy real estate, just leave everything in a growth tool and hope for the best while I play golf. And they high-five each other as they rip you off. Don't do that. Teach them a lesson. No one cares more about your money than you. Vote with your money. Move it away from these jokers. They've been ripping you off the whole time anyway, which can be proven in the other podcasts, and the fact that nobody will debate me. Guys, if they were right, why wouldn't they debate me? If somebody challenged me to a debate, I'd be running to it. Because I'm going to crush them. They're going to be embarrassed. I'm going to look good. Why wouldn't they be running to a debate? They know they're wrong. They literally know they're wrong, and the cowards are ripping you off, and they put their tail between their legs, and they run to the golf course whenever I challenge them. Why would you stay with an advisor who won't debate me? I mean, one really easy way, if you want the easiest way in the world to know whether or not you should stay with your current advisor, is just go to them and say, I don't know if you've heard of Charlie Jewett from Renovating Retirement, but if you want to continue being my advisor, I'm going to require that you debate him publicly. And only if you win will I leave my money with you, because I'm picking one person out of 7 billion on the planet. And they're going to do one of two things. They're going to say no, which means they voluntarily resigned from being the one person who's going to do this for you. You don't need them anyway. They're probably pathetic. And that sounds like I'm insulting you. I'm not. I'm just saying I've reviewed, probably at this point 1,500 financial plans, but I always say I've reviewed over 1,000 financial plans. And none of them are even financial plans. They're just hope. They're just risk with a side of fees. Let's cross our fingers and hope the rest of life looks exactly like the last. Or let me rephrase that. Let's hope that the rest of life looks like from 70 to 2000. Forget the last 18 years. Those weren't good. It's crazy. Or they're going to say, they're going to either say no, which means they voluntarily resigned, or they're going to say yes. And then we have that debate that I've been waiting for. Let's prove to the world that these guys are as bad as I say they are, or let's prove that I'm wrong and everyone gets better. No one can lose. All right? The reason that people do this, the reason they work too long, is that they're using the wrong type of investments, they're using the wrong payout percentage because they're trying to somehow take an income off of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, which you shouldn't do. And they're not using guaranteed tools because some joker and some liar says, I hate guaranteed income and you should too, which is a strange statement. Oh man, guaranteed income, that's so overrated. You're not going to like a life where $5,000 comes in every single month no matter what. Doesn't that sound crappy? That's so overrated. You really shouldn't do that. You should put your money with us where you never know what your income's going to be. And if you do take $5,000 a month, you might run out of money before you're dead. But boy, is it fun. And I like getting paid. Why would anybody do that? It's ridiculous. So people do this because somebody's been lying to them, has them in the wrong accounts, and they're using the wrong payout percentage from the wrong investments, and the things that are best for you have been hidden from you that provide consistent income. The other reason people do this is kind of an all or nothing thinking, right? They're thinking, well, I either work or I don't work. Well, if you love what you do, you can do it part-time for the best company you can find. You don't have to stay at your company working 40, 50, 60 hours a week. If you've got this incredible lifetime of skills, which we do not do a good job in our country honoring our elders, you've got 30, 40 years of wisdom, of business understanding, or of a very specific, possibly niche market. Maybe you were a carpenter the entire time. Maybe you were an administrative assistant the entire time. Maybe you were in the oil industry the entire time, or you were a pilot. You're very valuable. Go back to that same employer, or at least to the same industry, and do some consulting or do some part-time work. It's not all or nothing. You can retire immediately. A lot of you can retire immediately and have no idea that you can do it because you're thinking all or nothing, and you have a joker broker who's been lying to you for the last 20, 30, 40 years. If you like what you do it part-time. We're going to talk more about that in the next episode, which is called Americans Don't Work Nearly Long Enough. This one's called Americans Work Far Too Long. So even using annuities, when you set it up properly, when annuities are set up the right way, okay, which means multiple smaller annuities instead of one big one, okay? When you set it up the right way, you can turn them on in phases. It's not all or nothing, like I got to turn all my retirement income on or none of it. You could turn on 40, 50, 60% of the income as soon as you retire, work part-time somewhere, or drive for Uber, whatever. Guys, I almost called this the Uber retirement principle. Because if you could make an extra $500 a week driving people around, laughing at the drunk people, as they're not all drunk, by the way, laughing as you drive people from place to place. The Uber drivers I've talked to say incredibly friendly, socially minded people get into the car and they love talking to you. You're actually given more respect as an Uber driver, from what I hear, as financial advisors who are treated like used car salesmen. For some reason, people look up to it in that industry, which is awesome. And Uber and Lyft have changed the world. I think Lyft deserves some credit. I think they had the idea first, and Uber just kind of did a better job marketing, okay? But you can even drive for Uber. You just have a car and some time, whenever you want to, make an extra $500 a week, and if you really look at it, it's like having another $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds kicking off an income for you. Or that's, what's that, $24,000 a year, $500 a week. It's like having another, $400,000 or $500,000 in annuities kicking off lifetime income. Part-time jobs can be amazing. So another reason people, work too long is because they're just thinking all or nothing. Just get a part-time job. Do something you love. Try something new, man. Become a bartender if you've never done it, just for fun. All right? The other reason is health insurance. Oh, boy. Ding, ding, ding. This is a big one. And guys, I get it. Medicare doesn't kick in until you're 65. Studying Medicare has been a big part of my life. Medicare and Medicare Advantage and understanding the Medicare system, because of the age group that I work in, people who are in retirement, it kicks on at 65, and it's great. Medicare Advantage has some incredible options that are also usually hidden from you, because insurance agents like the way they get paid on the Medicare supplement more than the Medicare Advantage plan. So again, it's steering for selfish reasons. Surprise, surprise. This industry has that. Oh my gosh, I didn't ever know. If it doesn't kick in until 65 and you quit work at 61, how are you going to cover that health insurance? And I get it. That might be enough reason to work until you're 65. I'm not telling you have to stop. I'm just telling you the lies, and trying to expose that you don't have to continue once you're able to stop. You don't want to use the wrong, you don't want to have a bad windshield and not be able to see clearly. I want to be that windshield that helps you see clearly. So you could do some part-time jobs to cover the health insurance. It might only be $500, $600, $700, $800 a month. There's jobs you can make $500 a week. Again, driving for Uber, the Uber retirement principle. So maybe just quit, don't have health insurance for 2, 3, 4 years, and work a part-time job. That's fine. Maybe you can jump on your spouse's health insurance. Maybe you can make sure you're not damaging your health in order to pay for health insurance. You don't want to get a job that hurts you so you can pay for health insurance. That's kind of silly. Health insurance is in case something may happen. Hurting yourself for sure to cover something that may happen, well, that's not a good trade. That's not a good investment, right? Just make smart investment choices and pay for the health insurance, for heaven's sakes. Most people are completely overpaying for their financial planning services anyway, so we can just stop paying extra fees and extra taxes, redirect that to health insurance, so your budget stays the same, but you're getting something that's valuable. It's all the more reason not to use stocks, bonds, and mutual funds and take that 2.8% risky income, the maybe income. Why not just go guarantee your income, jump it from 2.8% up to 4.5%, 5%, 5.5% with annuities, and take all that extra income and pay for the health insurance that you need. You're not stuck. Health insurance is not handcuffs making you have to hurt yourself emotionally and physically for the next 4, 5, 6 years until Medicare kicks in. You don't have to do that. Get your retirement plan set up the right way so you can finally see clearly and go, oh, I'm actually only short $100 a month. I can easily cover that with this strategy, this strategy, this strategy. You can also use some type of mortgage strategy to pay for medical insurance and expenses. Take care of you first and leave what's left to your children. There's no rule that says you have to leave 100% of the equity inside of your house and pass it on to your kids when you die. As a matter of fact, most children, and I don't mean children like 5 and 6 years old, I'm talking about most adult children of people I know that are retirement age. So these kids are, 20s, 30s, 40s. If I ask them, would you rather your folks hurt themselves, like not give themselves enough income, not go out to eat, not travel, work too long, not have long-term care money, would you rather them do that, hurt themselves, and leave you a big fat inheritance? Or would you rather them take great care of themselves, travel, have amazing golden years, and leave you whatever's left over? You want to know what most adult children say? I'm sure you can guess, because you have these beautiful people in your life as well too. You've raised good, amazing kids with your values. They say, no way, I'm not after my parents for their money. Teach them how to take care of themselves, Charlie. Make sure they pamper themselves and they don't hurt themselves and they have an amazing life. I love the way they raised me. I love what they did for me. Did everybody's parents make mistakes? Sure. Most people that I've talked to love what their folks did for them and value them, and they want them to take care of themselves. So you're not trying to, the number one goal in life is not leave a whole bunch of money to kids when you die. The number one goal in life is your life. Let's maximize your life. You can take money out of your house through a reverse mortgage or refinance strategies or home equity planning strategies. I wrote a book on it, for heaven's sakes. There's also, by the way, some of you may be religious, there's also some, medical insurance alternatives, some sort of, expense sharing clubs that I'm aware of. There are all kinds of alternatives to just working and killing yourself. You don't need to do that. Americans work too long to the detriment of their enjoyment of life and their physical and emotional health. Now, to wrap this up, I'm going to tell a story. Many of you probably don't know. I spent 22 years in the Christian church. I'm not there any longer, but the entire time I wanted to be a pastor. I went to school to be a pastor, studied theology, studied the history of church, studied all kinds of ridiculous, deep, amazing theological and Christian things during those times. And the story of manna from heaven, doesn't matter whether you think it's true or not, because it doesn't matter. That idea that people woke up in the morning and a bread-like substance was all over the ground becomes a good analogy for the two different ways that you could choose to live. Here's one way to live, and it's very American. You go out and you stay out all day long until your fingers are bloody, your back is killing, and you come home after dark and you are loaded with manna. I mean, maybe you came home 2 or 3 times just to bring the manna you had. And you come home after your kids went to bed, fight with your wife because she misses you and you haven't helped clean or anything, and you just guys have a stressful relationship, and then you get up early in the morning because there's other people going to be out there trying to get that manna. So you got to get back up early in the morning. Early bird gets the worm, and you get out and you collect more and more and more and more. And your wife or a friend says to you, why are you collecting so much? Do you guys really eat all of that? You go, no, we're storing it up, we're jarring it, we're putting it away. But why are you collecting so much? Why do you collect more than you need? Say, well, because it's there. There's always more. There's more there. I can see it. I can see it just over the hill. There's more manna. There's more manna. So I go as far as I can, far and wide, try to get there before other people and collect it. Here's a person who's killing themselves to collect manna from heaven more than they need because it's there. And then there's another type of person. There's another type of person who gets up, sleeps in as long as they want to, gets up, kisses their wife, interacts with their kids or sends them off to school, whatever happened back in those days, and then goes out and collects enough manna for the day or for what they need. Or maybe they're a good steward. They collect a little extra, and 10-20% extra, and put it in jars and just in case there's lean times. But what this person's come to learn is it's on the ground every morning. They go out and collect what they need, do it in a relaxed fashion, enjoy nature, stop, smell the roses, come home, eat it with their wife, eat it with their family. Maybe it's the wife collecting it, coming home to her significant other. or husband. And they just enjoy life gathering what they need one day at a time. Which one's right and which one's wrong? I don't know if there is a right or a wrong. I can tell you the one that's more attractive to me, and I can tell you the one that medical research says is going to be much healthier for you. If you haven't read The Mexican Fisherman, the poem, go on the internet and read the story of the Mexican fisherman. It's one of my favorite stories or poems in the entire world, and it's affected me dramatically. We work our entire lives to try to gain something, a mirage, and we're trying to gain something that we actually already have just by being here on the earth. Beautiful story called The Mexican Fisherman. In my life, and certainly if you're hurting your body and hurting yourselves emotionally, I want you to just gather as much as you need and go and enjoy your life. So what are the keys? You need to know when you can retire, how much money is enough, and you can't do that if you leave it in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. You need to retire when you want to. Don't work longer than you want to. That's going to hurt you emotionally and cause stress. You need to retire before you're too damaged or too sick to even enjoy those golden years. Don't miss the window of health. You need to retire with a real retirement plan. Your income plan cannot be have everything in the stock market and take income out when I need it and hope that everything goes well. That is not an income plan. You need to have an in-case account, income account, and increase account, which probably means your income is coming from guaranteed income annuities or rental real estate if you'd like to go a little bit riskier, more appreciation, more work on your part, sometimes vacancies, but rent is fairly consistent. Don't make the mistake of working too long, because I want to see you in your golden years. Hopefully we'll be on a cruise together someday, or you'll be at one of my events, or I'll be in your town. But hopefully I can see you in top health because you have the time to work out and you're not killing yourself at work and you didn't wait too long and you have a real retirement plan that gives you piggy banks, paychecks, and then a little bit of growth money potential. Folks, Charlie Jewett signing out. Hope this helped you. I think you people are the best.
Renovating Retirement with Charlie Jewett.
That's all, folks.